Hi, everyone. This is Gary Wilson, and welcome to tonight's live Path to Profit webinar. Welcome aboard to all of you, whether you're in the investor agent training program, flipping for profits without the risk, wholesaling so everybody wins, um, rental profits without the pain, turning rental problems into real estate profits, which of course is property management, and wholesaling so everybody wins. Welcome aboard to all of you. Welcome aboard if you're an investor or an agent, and also welcome aboard whether you're in Canada or US, or actually we have some of you in the Caribbean, and a couple others overseas. So welcome aboard, everybody. We are live. We are recording. If you're brand new, you'll notice you are in default in mute mode. Okay. We can and will unmute you from time to time. We've done that before a number of times to bring you live online, depending on the subject in the discussion. Otherwise, you use your question box to type in questions. Okay. We do get to all the questions every time we do this. Very rarely do we miss one. Sometimes at the end, what we're finding is, as we're shutting down, people are typing in last minute questions, but we'll just get to them in the next webinar. So in any case, no matter what, always make sure you check the email the next day from Beverly that contains the recording. Some of you will be listening to this in recording mode. It also has instructions, the webinar schedule that's coming up in the next month or so. February schedule has been set. For strategy calls, I am going to be loading up a lot more dates and times for the month of February. I just haven't gotten to it yet. And we're getting into the last week of January, so I'm going to do that tonight or tomorrow, so you can start scheduling out into February. Also, we do make updates from time to time to the system, to the platform, and also to the information, to the content. The big announcement right now, though, is we are having our first 3-day live event in March 16th, 17th, 18th. By now, you should have all received one or two emails related to that subject. My Investment Services is giving a discount for those of you who do register during the month of January. So if you get your registration in by the end of the month, or you save 20%, it goes from 500 to 400, like 397, something like that. So it's worth to save $100 if you're going to go. You can still register. There are also only, I think, 150 seats, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be packed. I mean, we're going to be going over all of the content from all the training programs. This is going to be like an education bonanza. If you really want to get the big picture, how it all ties together, this is the first opportunity to do that. Some of you have been asking for this going back 3 years, and we were going to do it last year. But quite frankly, there was so much demand for the training, we just couldn't get a break. So we're going to do it this year in March down in Orlando over St. Patrick's Day weekend at the Omni Champions Gate. It's all that information is sent to you in an email. So definitely sign up. I look forward to seeing you guys there. A lot of you haven't seen for a while. Some of you, it's been a couple of years. But the big thing is, it's not just the education. That's obviously huge, but the networking. You're finally going to be able to meet each other in person and network with people all over the U.S. and Canada, agents, investors alike. So you definitely want to be here. And we are going to make it a lot of fun. We got some Irish dancers coming on Friday night during a cocktail reception. We will likely have a special event on Saturday night. I mean, we just have to put the pieces together. We looks like we may have one, possibly two special guests, special speakers. They're going to blow your socks off. So in any case, look for that online. If you could, and go ahead and register, that would be great. Particularly those of you who are current or past students. You definitely want to participate. This is going to be a pretty big deal. And we're providing lunches. The hotel, the Omnis, it's a family resort. They're waiving their daily $30 activation fee. They've got shuttles to and from Disney World. They're only charging $5 a day for parking, down from like 25, something like that. It's just a crazy thing. In any case, I look forward to seeing you all there. Now let's get to tonight's subject. We're going to start with the school report. Okay. Now in Canada, we call this the area report. I'll jump to that in a second. But just a brief reminder of what school report is. We use this primarily for people who are flipping homes. Okay, you can use it for owner occupants too, for that matter. All right, we also sometimes do use it for people buying rentals. Okay, if you're renting single family homes, yes, you can use this report. The report generally has to be homegrown. You have to build this yourself, or if you're a realtor in an office, your office has to build it. Okay, and the reason is while the data comes from your local MLS system, there is no report like this on the MLS. There's something similar to it on NAR, National Association of Realtors. It's called RPR, okay? And if you're an active realtor, you have access to RPR for free. The thing is, RPR doesn't interface well with all MLS systems. That's why we came up with this school report, because it's homegrown. We built it ourselves, all right? Now, like I said, the data does come from the MLS. So let's just go through this, okay, step by step. And I'm going to take you through 3 parts tonight so that by the time you're done, you will know exactly where it is you need to invest. And I just had a strategy call today with Greg Portal from Swedesboro. Basically, it's a New Jersey town suburb outside of Philadelphia. Ended up building his own report because he realized any other thing that he does in real estate is going to be like guessing without this information. And boy, is he right. So first things first, you notice across the top, every 2 columns represents, in this case, a school area. If this was Canada, this would be, they call it the area field. In MLS, we have what's called an area field. We use that in Canada. In the US, it's the school area. Could be high school, junior high, elementary school, could be the school district, okay? You get to decide what you use in your area. If you're in a highly densely populated area, you would probably make this the school district. If you're in a sparsely populated area, you would make this like the elementary school. I'll explain more here in a minute. What we want to know for each school area is 2 really important pieces of information. We need to know what's actively available, what's actively listed for sale, and we want to know what has sold in the last 90 days. Now, if you're in the Bay Area, San Francisco, you would want to make this a 30-day report. Don't make it 90 days. Okay, your days on market is extremely fast, so make it like a 30-day report. But the bottom line is we want to know what's active and what's sold. Now, we want to know the information in price bands. Now, again, I'll use the pick on the Bay Area, or let's say you're in Toronto. You wouldn't want to start off at $100,000. There's nothing you're going to get for $100,000. You will in like Macon, Georgia, Flint, Michigan, Dayton, Ohio, places like that. But if you're in one of the areas like Toronto or San Francisco, you may want to start at around 500,000. That's probably the lowest you want to go. Some of you might want to start at closer to $1 million. But regardless, in price bands, we want to see the data. We want to see what's active, and we want to see what's sold in price bands. Okay, so in this search, the search is MLS in the Hopewell School area between 100 and 150,000. What is currently actively for sale? Status of A. We plug that number in there, a basic Excel spreadsheet, and then we ask what has sold in the last 90 days. Whoops, sorry, I jumped that. Let me go back here. That was my my big finger. Hang on 1 second. How do I go back? There we go. Okay. So we want to know what's sold in the last 90 days. Now, as you might imagine, this will take a while to build, and it will, but boy, is it worth it. Okay. So let's look at why we had the report. Let's talk about why we have it first. First off, yes, there are lots of reports out there, statistics and ratios, all kinds of good information. The challenge is when you're investing or working with investors, raw data is vitally more important. Okay. Raw data is vitally important. Statistics and ratios, good information, but the actual raw data is what you need the most. You can't go wrong with it unless you ignore it. Okay, the data is the truth. It tells you what to do. You just decide your actions and decisions based on the report. So let's look at an area that we think is pretty good. For example, over here in Seneca School area, look at the second row, 1 to 150. I can see 28 homes are currently active and 65 is sold in 90 days. Between 2 and 250, we can see 15 active and 39 sold. Between 250 and 3, we can see 13 active and 35 sold. What this tells us is 2 really important pieces of information. Number 1 is we've got properties actively for sale. And number 2 is we got people willing to buy the properties. We have supply and we have demand. Okay, in fact, demand is greater than supply. by a factor of 2 to 1, or maybe 2 to 3 buyers for every seller in a 90-day period. That's not a bad, that's a good set of numbers here. So I would, if I was investing in this area, I would invest in this area. I would flip in this area because I've got volume and I've got velocity. Volume, people willing to sell, inventory, in other words, supply, and velocity, people willing to buy in greater numbers, demand. Okay. Really, really important to grasp this, because if you grasp this, everything else is going to make a lot more sense. So for example, 1 to 150, 65 homes are active and 39 have sold in 90 days. We probably would not want to invest in this area, because if currently 65 and only 39 have sold in 90 days, that's a long days on market. That these properties are going to take a long time to sell, probably like a half a year, actually. And when you're flipping homes, man, we want our money back like fast, you know. So something like 30 to 45 days on market is our maximum, right? And let's look at down here. Look at this, South Butler, between 450 and 5. I can see one home is currently actively listed for sale, and there are 2 that have sold in 90 days. Now, if that was a ratio, we'd say, well, that ratio is not bad. 2 buyers for every seller. If you have inventory in that area, you'd be thrilled at that ratio. But the raw data tells us we probably wouldn't want to do business here. There's not enough activity going on. 1 active and 2 sold in 90 days. There's not going to be much for us to look at there. We don't want to be in that area. We want to be over here. I might only make $50,000 a flip, but I'd rather do that with this type of certainty, maybe 5 times in a year, and just with these numbers, than attempt to maybe flip a $1.5 million house, because look at those numbers down there. Nothing's moving, right? Nothing active, nothing for sale, nothing sold. I also don't want to be up here in the low dollar price range. I want to be only where the data told me I should be, which is right over here. Okay. So let me bring the panel back over and look for questions. Okay, if you have, guys, if you do have questions, now is a good time to type them in. All right. Because I want to go ahead and move forward here to the next part of this webinar tonight. All right, hang on one second. Let me make sure everything seems to be okay on this end. All right, so let's keep going here. So right now, we know the school area and we know the price range. Now, again, in Canada, this would be the area field. All right, we call that the area field. So what do we do next? Well, we don't have all the data in the area by just looking at MLS data. MLS does not reflect all the transactions in the area. Okay, only those that go through the MLS, and not every property goes through the MLS. Okay, so we need to get data that's more comprehensive, and here's how we do it. Once we know the school area, all right, now let me do this real quick. This here, in the States, we have a tool called zipcodes.com, where we can type in, any town name, any, county, what have you. So if I go here and I type in Avalon, for example, that's a neighborhood in a school area that I have invested in, and hit search, it gives me certain information, right? Actually, this gave me Avalon, New Jersey. How about that? I didn't type in the state. Check. So zip code 08202 for Avalon, New Jersey. It also gives me the area code. So let me just put in PA here and see how this changes, right? So PA, yes, Pennsylvania, hit search. I get that zip code 1202, area code 412. What I'm getting at is you can type in county, city. If you know a street name and address, you can type it in, and this will give you the zip code. In Canada, all right, we use, it's the area, by the way, in Canada, again, we call this the area report, not the school report, the area report. And then what we do there is we use, which is called Canada Post. It's in the US, we have the US Postal Service. In Canada, we have Canada Post, all right? The link there. So this is all on your material, all right? So let me jump in the States, something called melissadata.com. And the way we do that is now we're dealing with whatever area your school district is servicing. All right, we go back here to Melissa Data. That's the exact link right there. And you can type in any zip code you want anywhere in the US. Again, Canada is Canada Post, obviously. So this, we just typed in a zip code, and this is what we got. All right, for that zip code, we bypass the PO box. We focus on the carrier. We get to see how many people live there, what they make, and the average property. What's interesting, the average it was not coming from the MLS guys. It's coming from, so whether you're in US or Canada, we all pay property taxes, and that data, the property data, is housed online in files, and we have access to it. Now, just so you know, to remind you, if you do go to myinvestments.com and you click on the members area, okay, once there, you want to click on or log into silver level. That's on the next page. You click on silver level. All right. Let's just do this so everybody can follow along here. Okay, my investment services. Click on members area. All right. Then you want to log into silver level. By default, all of us are in a silver level. At least we should be anyways. We're supposed to be. Let me close these out here. In here, you're going to see marketing techniques and docs. You click on that, and if you scroll down, you get sources for people and places. So let's just click on that, and you will see there's all kinds of neat tools you can use, right? US tools, Canadian tools, to find almost anything you want on people and or properties, okay, in either country. Look, Canada's assessment link is right here. So let's go back to the where we were. All the data to look at, not just the data on MLS. And the way we do that is we plug in the zip codes for the areas we're looking at and get all the housing data as far as average sales go, okay? Now, the interesting thing is these buttons here are clickable. You click on that button, and it brings up the map showing you the carrier route that the postman takes. So let's type in one of those zip codes, right? If we look here, we get to see again, bypass the PO boxes. Those are obviously postal boxes and not actual addresses or carrier routes. For every carrier route, we get to see how many apartments are there, how many businesses, the number of people that live there, what they make, and the average property value, okay? So in any case, let's just click on one of these maps here. You click on the map. It's going to take a second. It shows you, whoops. Oh, something went wrong. Let's try that again. So submit. Click on the map view. I might have moved too fast there. Hang on one second. Click on the map view. For some reason it's not liking us tonight. I think we have too many. I might have too many sessions open. Carrier route information. That's the individual carrier route information for that. So let's just go back. Let's try another route, another carrier route. Let's go down here. That one looks pretty juicy. 333,000. Okay. Darn it, it's starting to bring up. Let's bring up portrait. Let's do this. Let's click on full. See if that brings us the actual map. I just wanted to show you what you get. What's really neat is you get the map view. See, it's showing us JavaScript. Okay, I don't want to mess with that right now, but you probably saw just briefly, it brings up the map view with the carrier routes. That's what I wanted to show you, okay? Here's the bottom line with this. Once you have that map view showing you the carrier routes, you can then go into your MLS system, or if you're an investor and you don't have a license, have your realtor go into your MLS system and draw what we call polygons to do geographic searches, okay? Polygons to do geographic searches. So you can draw any shape you want. In this case, you're going to draw shapes that match your carrier routes. And let's just go to the Canadian system here real quick and show you what I'm talking about, okay? What you can do is through a series of steps is drill down and get down to map views showing you the carrier routes that the postman takes with the mail. Again, this is same. The principles are the same, the fundamentals the same. It's just we're applying it slightly differently because in Canada, of course, we're using Canada Post and not U.S. Postal Service, and voila, there we go. You're right at this. So now you can mimic any of these areas in your MLS and draw polygons to do searches. So you're only looking for specific properties, right, in specific price ranges, in specific neighborhoods, in specific zip codes, in specific school areas. That's what I wanted to drive at. What this does is prevents all of us from driving around looking at a bunch of properties we had no business looking at. It makes our jobs a lot more efficient. Whether we're investors or agents, either way, we benefit from this process tremendously by only looking for specific properties in specific neighborhoods, in specific zip codes, okay, in specific school areas. All right, let's go back and bring that up there. So going forward, we're narrowing down our efforts by focusing on areas and price ranges. All right, get the zip codes for those areas or postal codes in Canada, plug them in, get the carrier routes for those areas, and do geographic searches matching these maps. So we're only looking for specific properties and specific postal routes and specific school areas or specific development areas in the case of Canada. Now let me just pull the panel back over here and look for questions. I just gave you guys, and hopefully you're all flying through this. Let's see, from Cedric, do you have a template for that format? So what you can do, Cedric, is when you're looking at your carrier route, you can actually do a screenshot of that, okay, and print it. Where I've had some people have told me that they have actually been able to overlay that on their MLS system. When they get through this, they can grab the image from the carrier route map, okay, carry that over to their MLS system and overlay it, and then mimic that line or copy that line by drawing a polygon. Pretty interesting. Let's see. This is Dennis. Okay, iOS is better to use high schools over school districts in manor cities. Oh, major cities. I think you said major cities. Yeah. So Dennis, between elementary school, junior high, high school, and school district, the way you determine what one you're going to use is if you're in a heavily densely populated area with a lot of school districts, you would want to make it the school district. Okay. In other words, if your MLS area covers a wide area with a lot of school districts, make it the school district area. If, however, you're in an area where you've only got maybe, 5, 10 school districts, you would probably want to use the high school name because there's probably more than one high school per school district. Not in all cases, but in a lot of cases. So you get a better geographic reach there. And if you're in a really lesser populated area, you might want to drop down to the elementary school level because you'll have a lot of elementary schools in your area and you'll have less data per field, but at least you're doing a better job of canvassing the area and getting data at that micro level, which is really, really important, okay? Let's see here. Cedric is asking, okay, how would you pitch that to an investor who is thinking of investing of a particular area or investors who is looking to start investing scripts? Yeah. So Cedric, what you want to do is show this to your investors. In fact, let's just go back to the school report. Okay. Instead of us trying to persuade our investors where they should be investing, show them this and let them see for themselves that, hey, it sure does make a whole lot of sense to be investing over here. I can find properties and I can find people to buy them, as opposed to an area like this. 6 properties are actively listed, 3 have sold. That obviously should turn them away. So in other words, Cedric, instead of us trying to persuade them, let the data do the talking. Really, really important. It does is that it really increases your credibility. And let's face it, we've got investors on the webinar here, and they probably will tell you. Matter of fact, for the investors on the call, go ahead and type in, would you be thrilled if your agent showed you this kind of information to help the laser beam focus on where you should be flipping homes, as opposed to just using, you might say, well, I know this area. I've been there before. It's a great area. That may be true, but the data tells us there's just not much happening there, so that let the data do the talking, and you'll find yourself building up credibility. Let's see. Good question. Okay. Daryl. Hey, Daryl, how you doing, man? Hey, Daryl, I just had a great call this morning with Greg, and he mentioned you. So I told him that he needs to hang around you because you're taking action and making things happen. All right. Let's see. Daryl says this also happened to me. Yeah. That happens to everybody. I mean, at some point. So what you do is take the pressure off yourself. Instead of you trying to persuade your investors where they should go, let the data do the talking, right? Let the data do the talking. So in any case, so far we've been focusing on flippers. Let's go ahead and focus for a second on landlords buying rentals. Okay. If you notice here in this particular zip code, there's no apartments, all right? However, in this zip code, there's lots of apartments, right? And we want to be looking for rentals or buying rentals in areas that have a lot of apartments, okay? We don't want to be buying rentals in an area like this, no apartments. This is going to be very heavily owner-occupied, 100% owner-occupied, in fact, which means there's likely to be little or no rentals in the area. There might be a few that will all be single-family homes, though. Versus this area where there's lots of apartments, and so therefore there's likely to be lots of rentals, okay? Real quick, I'm gonna close out some sessions here. You guys are telling me every now and then the audio tends to fade. So let me close out. Let me keep that. That should help a lot. Let me go back here. Okay, just to current screen, and there we go. So that can be better. When I'm looking for rentals or I'm working with landlords who are buying rentals, I'm going to focus only on areas that have a lot of apartments. I'll focus on this area. I'll focus on this area. Oops, sorry. And I will focus on this area. I might focus here, but I definitely won't look here, and I probably won't look here. The reason is I'm only going to focus on the areas that give me the highest probability of finding the most rentals for my clients and myself as an investor, okay? And I'll draw polygons to match map these carrier routes for these 3 areas. That's all we're doing. That's what we're doing. Now we're focusing on specific areas that have the highest probability of bringing in possible properties for our investors, okay? Now we need to take it a step further. So let's, I'm gonna get out of this and go into another document. All right, just a second. So hang on to your seats. What I want to do is go back here and show you, and then you've seen this before, okay? This is a planning commission website. I will be the first to tell you not all planning commission websites look alike. If they do, it's just a simple irony. So in any case, we like planning commission websites because they give us a lot of data graphics in our area. And this is true in US and Canada, by the way, okay? So they get their data from Stats Canada, in the case of Canada. They get their data from UNcensus.gov in the case of the United States. I'm going to show you the Stats Canada here in a second. I'm going to get right to it. Hopefully It's going a little bit slow. Let me do this. Let me go here. Whoop. Okay, now it's moving faster. That's going through all the steps, by the way. So for anybody who's on the line who's Canadian, I'm just showing you the material you've already got. You just have to go through it step by step. And it shows you how to use Canada Post. What I'm going to do is get you to the link for Canada Stats. And there it is, statcanada.gc.ca. All right. Lots of good information. Now, we have the same thing in the States, okay? So in the States, it's literally just called uscensus.gov. In any case, I like Planning Commission websites because all their data comes from public sources like your census data, okay? Like your housing data for your area, your tax assessor's database, for example, the housing data comes from there. Now, the way we use this is there's all the demographics, social graphics, demographics, everything is out here. In the case of flipping, let's see how we would use this. I would, for example, if I was flipping a home, I knew in my example that we had before, I'm looking between 115 and 300,000 in a particular school area. And the reason is I know that the what we call the avatar, the most likely purchaser of a single family home now, is typically a family with 2.3 children. So let's use the example of age. How do we use this? I can see in 5-year increments how many people live here. 5-year increments, how many people live here. I can see the largest segment happen to be 50 to 54 years old. What was that, 2010, I think it was? Yeah, there it is. Now those folks are in their 60s. And what are people in their 60s thinking of doing or wanting to do? Well, that's right. They're thinking about retiring, downsizing. There's a lot of them, 76 million of them in the U.S. alone. So here's the question. Is that middle-class family with 2.3 children want to move to a neighborhood where the largest segment of the population is getting ready to retire? No, you're right. Probably not. They want to move to an area, a neighborhood, where everyone else has 2.3 children. Okay. Now, being the smart investors that we are, and agents, if we're agents too, we use this information not just for ourselves, but to share with our investors so they can see how it is we know what we know and help them make better, more informed decisions, which means, quite frankly, we all make more money, right? Investors and agents alike. Now, I want to real quick touch on something else here. When it comes to buying rentals, there's a lot of really good data on these Planning Commission websites. In fact, if you scroll down, I'll give you another example of another page here. We can see in this page the percentage of people who own their homes and living there, and the percentage of people who rent their homes. They are not owners, they're renters. So in this sample area, I can see 55% of the people own their homes and 45% rent. This is like an ideal area for investing. I mean, I would probably want to pick up rentals here because there's still a pretty good home ownership presence, but there's also enough renters there to tell me it's a sweet spot for rentals. Now, what I'm getting at is, yes, there are sweet spots. And generally speaking, you want to write this down too, guys. When you're looking to buy rentals for yourself or for your investors, okay, you want to look in areas that are between 1/3 and 2/3 tenant occupied. Okay. Now, a couple of things here. What does that mean? Well, by contrast, what that means is if you're looking to flip homes, you would want to flip in areas that are 2/3 home ownership or greater. This is a general rule. Okay. Some areas will have higher ownership rates, some less, but the bottom line is, in most cases, if you can flip homes in an area that are at least 2/3 owner occupant, you're going to be doing yourself a huge favor. You're just going to have an easier time flipping in those neighborhoods. So back to the rentals. Why did we choose between 1/3 and 2/3 tenant occupancy when we're buying rentals? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one is, if the area is less than 1/3 tenant occupied, well, that means by contrast, it is greater than 2/3 owner occupied. And we just said that when we have an area that's 2/3 owner occupied or greater, we generally want to flip in those areas. We would not want to buy rentals. You can buy rentals. I'm not saying you can't, But just remember, you're going to have a much higher cost per unit, cost basis per unit, than you will in an area that's less than 1/3 owner occupied. Okay, so what that means is your cash flow, your rents, may not be able to keep pace with the cost of doing business, with the basically cost basis of the property. The ends don't justify the means. Your net operating income is not enough to substantiate buying properties in those areas that are too high priced. But back in the areas that are between 1/3 and 2/3 tenant occupied, you generally have, that's like your upper, you've got, let's just say A, B, and C properties. These are going to be your high C areas and your low B areas. There's a lot of them out there, and it's a great way to make a living in the owning rental business. If you own rentals, that's the sweet spot. Now, what about the areas that are greater than 2/3 tenant occupied? What about those areas? Why wouldn't we want to invest there? Well, the answer is you might under certain circumstances. But for the most part, we want to be in an area that's between 1/3 and 2/3 tenant occupancy. The exceptions we make are like if you're in an area that's near a hospital system or a university system, I like investing in those areas. The reason is those are two relatively stable, almost recession-proof industries. In other words, people always get sick. So hospital systems always have customers, right? In the case of colleges and universities, what would you say happens to college enrollment in a shift? And you're right. If some of you typed in, it goes up. It absolutely does go up. So the fact is, well, you could have graduate students to rent to, associate professors trying to get their doctorate degrees, things like that. In the hospital systems, you got nurses, interns, residents. All these people they're good professional people. They're getting their education to be professional. Generally, are good payers. Sometimes their families are paying their rents for them. And it's a great way to make a living in the rental business. Okay, so that's just another example of the data that's out here, right? There's all kinds of information available to you on these websites. Again, most of it comes from your census data. You get to see the population of households and group quarters by type, numbers of households, age groups, vacant units. And I could go on and on with all this information. Let's just look at a few other pages. Okay, there's all housing data there, but if you scroll down, you get to see other information on your demographics, disabilities information, people who are institutionalized. And guys, this is all public information. It's not like this isn't like it's not like you're cheating or anything like that. You're just using data that's available to all of us in public formats. Okay, you get to see how household income levels, all kinds of really neat information. And all of this, remember, when you're investing, you need to have this information to know who it is you're going to want to be working with, what areas to work in, what types of investors. If you're an agent, equally critical. Okay, more household income information. Let's see types of housing, how many properties were built in different time frames, like right here. Types of properties being built: single family detached, single family attached, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, 5 to 9 units, 10 to 19 units, 20 to 49 units, 50 or more units, mobile homes, all that stuff is out here. Number of rooms per structure, 1 to 9 rooms, right? Number of people moving into the area in certain time frames. That's pretty important information. All this information is available to us all. It's just amazing. Let's see total owner occupied units by price range. Oh my gosh. So in any case, I could go on here, guys. I just want to just give you the bottom line of what's available to you to help you make good investment decisions. Okay, or if you're working with investors, help them make good investment decisions. Again, we go to Canada. Let me go back and make sure I am So here's Canada stats. You can do all kinds of searching. By the way, for those of you who are interested, the Canadian systems are generally more sophisticated than the US systems. It's just in the US we have more data available. There's because of the Freedom of Information Act. Canada has generally tighter privacy rules, but all the data is absolutely accessible, right? You can see, for example, I know Sam, hopefully you're still on here. You can see building permit information, like what types of structures are being built, what's the trend of building permits, which is really important information, particularly if you're working with flippers. You want to know what is trending right now in new construction. Are builders building big luxury homes, or are they building more condo units? Well, I can tell you, in most places in US and Canada, there's a lot more condos going up than there ever was in the past, okay? It's the aging population, baby boomers. It's not that it's not a financial thing all the time. Sometimes it is, but more often than not, guys, people 55 and older they don't want to shovel snow anymore. They don't want to cut grass anymore, right? We need to know this type of thing. So if you figure out that based on your planning commission website, right? Remember back here, and you know that you've got a population that's most people are 55 or older. Boy, you really got to think about your marketing. How do you market to those people? You would use different language patterns, different keywords and key phrases to market to those folks. Okay, you wouldn't market to an emerging retiree the same way you would market to a family with 2.3 children. It'd be different language patterns, different everything. Okay. So in any case, let me just do a real quick check here on questions, guys. That was pretty much what I wanted to cover tonight. Real basic stuff, but what I want to do primarily is show you how when you focus on the fundamentals, this basic data, everything else becomes easier. Once you know your information for the area, not just like based on your guessing or you used to live there, but based on actual raw data that goes down to the nitty-gritty level. You might start at the county level, but then you scale you drive yourself down. You basically zero is and be focused on nitty-gritty specific areas, specific neighborhoods. The census information is what we call it the census tract level. That's like a neighborhood. A census tract is like a neighborhood. Okay. When you know that information at that level, and even if you can't remember everything, you've got it at your fingertips. This sets you apart from the crowd. This is what allows you to separate yourself from the herd. And just like Warren Buffett says, if you want to be successful, you've got to separate yourself from the herd. When the herd goes left, we should be going right. Okay. And this is one sure way to do it. And it doesn't require, in fact, everything I just showed you, whether in US or Canada, is absolutely free. Okay. So use the links that are in your material. You can focus on the right data from the right resources. Okay, there are resources out there that are resources. In fact, we give you some of those resources, but so we're not going to get into marketing tonight. Do more ones. Okay, it's going to help us invest. It's going to help us work with investors, being focused, using the right strategies in the right areas based on the right information. So, in any case, guys, I'll have more check for questions here, and then we will wrap things up. I don't see any. I don't see any questions, so I think we're all caught up here. For all of you, let's see. Next week, the webinar is going to be. Hang on one second. Next Tuesday night, I will be in Fort Myers, Florida. Okay. And also, again, 4 o'clock Pacific, of course, that's 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time next Tuesday from Fort Myers, Florida. Again, I am in Florida all the way through the big event on St. Patrick's Day weekend. I look forward to seeing you guys there. If you haven't registered yet, go ahead, register. We also got the room rates down. It was like close to $300 a night. We got them to under $200. at night. And by the way, it is family friendly. You can bring your spouses and your children if you have any. You could bring a significant other if you want. Okay. We're going to have some fun while we're at it. We are going to learn a lot, but we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to do a lot of networking. We got like multiple networking events set up to help you guys get a lot of contact information from each other. So, in any case, guys, I appreciate you being on board tonight. I appreciate your questions. I appreciate the opportunity to teach you, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. In the meantime, God bless you and your families, and have an awesome rest of the week. Okay, bye-bye.